Hello everyone, welcome back, and in today's video we are going to discuss the second round of the World Chess Championship between Nepomniachtchi versus Ding Liren. The first game ended in a draw where Jan was having the white pieces and Ding Liren was having the black pieces. But today Ding is having the white pieces and Nepo is having the black pieces. It is the second round and the game was simply amazing, and I hope that you guys will simply like it. So now let's quickly check it out. So, Ding playing with the white pieces starts out the game with 1d4. So hoping to see the Queen's Gambit. Nepo replied with knight to f6, so very solid. c4, e6, knight f3, d5, the Queen's Gambit. And here on the move number 4. Like in this position, there are many moves for white to be considered. Many moves are fine. You can play g3, the Catalan, which is a very strong opening from the white side. You can play knight to c3, the Queen's Gambit. You can play even e3 as a move, or you can even capture the pawn on d5. But what happened in the tournament, Ding played the move h3, and after h3, it's a very surprising move. I would say it is definitely not the best, but I would say it is a very good move from a psychological perspective, as it's a World Championship match. Your opponent is simply prepared. Both the players are extremely prepared, well prepared. So playing a move like h3 on the move number 4 can be a very good practical choice by Ding. I personally liked it, though it's a dubious move. And okay, Ding played the move h3, and after h3, Nepomniachtchi, I guess, took around 10 minutes on his next move, because you have to think like how to continue after h3. And like there are many ways for black to continue this position. Black can even play a move like c5. But okay, I guess after takes, playing g3 can be a very good move from the white side. And like if you capture, we have an I to p, the isolated queen pawn. And I guess it is not as comfortable as it should be from the black side, as it's a long-term weakness. It's okay, there are many ways. You can even continue with bishop e7, I guess. c6 can be also a fine move. But after taking 10 minutes here, Nepo decided to capture the pawn on c4. And it's a very logical reply. After capturing on c4, you have to play a move like e3, which was happening in the game. You simply strike the pawn on c4. And after playing e3, Nepo played the move c5. Simply hitting the pawn. And if you try to capture the pawn, after queen takes, king takes. Bishop takes. I think the position is already equal after trading off the queens. Overall, I would say it's a good position for Nepo, as we already equalized from the opening. But after c5, definitely capturing is a bad move. So here we have bishop into c4, the best move by Ding. a6, preparing to play b5 in the future. And here we simply have short castle. And here there are many players who simply try to play b5. And like there are many players from the white side, they stop it by playing a4 to stop b5. But guys, you can simply play the move short castle, which was happening in the game. And if black tries to go b5, you can simply come back. And the disadvantage of this getting space on the queen side here is white can strike the move a4 after on the next move, and it could be a bit problematic for black. You don't want to create a messy pawn structure on the queen side. So we have knight to c6 by Nepo, knight to c3, and finally we have b5 by Nepo, hitting the bishop d3, bishop to b7. So all those who are thinking, can black capture the pawn on d4? Like, because after e4, knight d4, black is simply a pawn up. But guys, here after bishop into b5, black is simply going to lose the queen, and white is going to simply win the game. So bishop to b7 was played by black in the game. A very logical move, opening up the bishop. a4, striking on the queen side, because that's all it matters. Like whenever black expand on the queen side, you must attack it by playing moves like a4. We have b4 hitting the knight. The knight moves to e4, knight to a5. And after knight to a5, here Ding took a large amount of time. He was around 30 minutes ahead in the clock of from Nepomniachtchi. But after playing knight to a5, he spent around 30 minutes and he went for the move knight into f6. He could have simply continued the game with knight into c5, and after bishop into c5, e into c5, d into c5, knight to d7, hitting the pawn, and you can't really defend the pawn on c5. So after bishop d2, bishop into f3, you can't capture the queen because of knight e5, and white loses the piece, so it's a bad move. So you must capture with the g pawn, and after knight c5, bishop into b4, knight into d3, bishop into queen into, short castle, and overall white is a pawn up. But still the position is equal, very dry, and I guess the end result would be a draw. But that's not what happened in the game, as Ding was playing with the white pieces. He wanted something spicy, I would say, and he went for the move knight into f6. Check, and many players think that how come is this spicy? Black is simply going to capture with the queen, and the game would go on. But guess after capturing with the queen, it's not a good idea, because after e4, bishop to g5 can be a very dangerous move from the white side, and the queen can the queen is not well placed on f6. So basically after knight into f6, when the opponent says A, you must say B. So here Nepo decides to capture with the g pawn, and it's not so bad, I would say. It's a very natural move in these types of position. As white have a castle short side, the bishop is open on the b file. You can simply play rook g8 and keep continuing attack on the king side. And it's I think the position is very common. This position can lead by many different openings. And after g into f6, the idea of black is to play the move bishop d6, rook g8, trying to castle on the queen side and keep attacking on the king side. And there have been games of Anand versus Kramnik where Anand actually scored a very good victories against Kramnik. So overall, I would say black is having a good history in this types of position. So after g to f6, we have e4 by a Ding. c4, hitting the bishop to c2, going to c7, preparing to do a long castle, which is a very logical move, bishop to d2, putting some pressure on the pawn on b4, rook to g8, bringing the rook in the game. Rook to c1, short long castle. And overall, I would say assess this position as slightly better for black, obviously, because if I count the pawns, black is having 7 pawns, white is also having 7 pawns. So basically, material-wise, the position is equal, but positional-wise, I would say white is going to, practically-wise, I would say white is going to soon face many dangerous issues. If he isn't able to solve the problems, I would say black can win the game. So after long castle, Ding went for the move bishop to d3, and you can't really capture the bishop because you lose the queen. So as we know that Nepo is a nearly 2800 rated player, so I guess capturing the bishop is a nearly impossible move. So after bishop to d3, we have king to b8, simply moving the king from the rook's file. So we have rook to e1, simply developing the piece, and here we have simply f5 by Nepo. And after the press conference, after the game number 2, Nepo himself said that after playing the move f5, he even felt that he was winning the game. And f5, the idea of f5 is very simple. If you try to capture the pawn on f5, here we simply have a move like rook into d4, a very strong move. And after knight into d4, we have rook g2, and the bishop is protected by the rook, so you can't capture the rook. You can't play king h1 because it's a one move mate. So you have to play king f1, which is a fourth move. And now it's a 3 move mate. You can pause the video and you can try to find mate in 3. It's your choice. Okay, I think that you must have found this move. Rook into f2, very good move. And after king into f2, it's a fourth move. Queen to h2 check. And there are 2 moves. King e3 leads to bishop to h6 mate. There are no move for white. And if king to f1, queen to g2 is simply a mate. So that's what happened if you try to capture the pawn. So after f5, definitely capturing the pawn is not a good idea. So Ding decides to simply go back with the bishop. Here we have knight to c6. And the idea could be to capture the pawn on d4. So bishop to g5, hitting the rook. And guys, here's my second question. What are you going to play with the black pieces? Definitely, if you have saw the game, then definitely you can able to find this move. But if you did not, then I guess it's a good opportunity to try to find the winning move in this position from the black side, the best move. So what are you going to play in this position? Okay, so all those who have came up with the move bishop to e7, guess it's a very common move, but it's not the best, because after bishop e7, queen e7, bishop b1, and the point here is black is still slightly better, but he actually lost his major advantage, which is not a good idea to do in a world championship match. So basically, at the place of playing bishop e7, here the best move is to capture the bishop and giving the exchange sacrifice. The point of giving the exchange sacrifice in this position is, after knight into g5, we simply have the move knight into d4, as the knight is not really covering the d4 square. So after knight into d4, you have to move the queen, because black is already preparing to play knight to b3, hitting the rook and the queen. So you must move the queen, and here we have simply f6 by Nepo, hitting the knight. So we have knight to f3 by Ding. If you try to play a move like knight f7, we have rook b7, the knight is attacked. If you try to capture the pawn, bishop to c5, and you're really being a pawn grabber, it's not a good idea, as black is simply going to destroy white's king. It's not a good idea. And still, if you try to be a more pawn grabber, after queen f4, you can simply move the knight, and the game is simply going to be over for white in no time. So overall, it's not a good idea. So we have knight to f3 coming back, knight into bishop, rook into, and here we have bishop into e4. So now you can simply count the material. The material-wise, the position is equal. We have in the exchange of rook, black is having bishop and 2 pawns, and black is also having the bishop pair, which are extremely strong in the open position. A position like this we have on the board. So after bishop into e4, we have the rook under attack. So the rook have to move rook to d2. And now, if we try to trade off the rooks, it's not a good idea, because now it's better for white in this position. Because after bishop b5, there are not enough material. White is going to simply play queen e8 check. It's a forced queen trade, because if you try to move the king, you lose the bishop. So after the queen trade, you can simply capture the c4 pawn, and after bishop takes rook c1, the game is winning for white eventually, because we have rook versus bishop, and it's winning. So basically, trading of the rooks is extremely bad idea for Nepo. So obviously, he's a high player. He's going to see this. Bishop to d6 was played in the game, keeping the rooks on the board. King to h1, moving the king, because I guess the reason was quite simple. Because if you try to make a random move like this, here I guess black can simply play c3. That's completely losing. Bishop into f3 is also winning, as after queen into f3, we have bishop h2 checking h1, and you can simply capture the rook, and black is a piece up, also many pawns up, and it's completely winning. So that's why king h1 is chopping this bishop h2 check. We have c3 takes, rook to d4, c2 trying to make a queen on the next move, queen to h6, trying to prevent the mate, and here comes the move e5, hitting the rook. And you can now pause the video and try to find the square of the rook where it can't be captured. But okay, you won't be able to resume the video. The reason is quite simple, because there is no good square for the rook to save himself, because it doesn't matter wherever you go, everything is really covered. You can't even go a move like rook d2, because it simply blocks the queen, and black will simply make a queen. So it's completely losing. So after e5, on the move number 29, only 29 move, and here Ding Liren with the white pieces decides to resign the game, and we have the first victory on the second round, and Nepomniachtchi the winner with the black pieces. So this was the game, and we can say that Nepomniachtchi scored his first win after 13 World Champion games, as we know that he played 11 games against Magnus Carlsen in the previous year, and where he lost. So basically, this was his 13th game, where he won his first World Championship match. He must be very proud of himself, and he should be. He simply beat Ding Liren. But okay, there are still many games to go. So the first player scoring 7.5 points is going to be the winner. And okay, so tell me in the comment box, what do you think? Will Ding Liren strike back, or Nepomniachtchi is simply going to keep winning the games, or perhaps he can simply draw every game now and he can still win the championship. So this was the game, and I hope that you guys must have liked the video. If you did, then make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure to share this video with everyone, because the World Championship matches are always very interesting. So I'm going to come up with these analysis of upcoming rounds. So I hope that you guys have liked the video. So I'm going to see you soon. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.